Could I borrow your imagination for a moment? I'd like to imagine that as a small child you have dreamt about achieving success for your family, for your country, and you are eventually selected to represent your country. And because you do well, you are further selected to achieve your greatest dream, which is to play for a team called the British and Irish Lions. And you get on the bus and you travel into the stadium and people are waving flags. There are people who have spent their life savings to follow what you do. And as you get off the bus, you see people looking at you and calling your name. You go into the stadium, you put on your kit and you go up to warm up. The stadium has 85,000 people ready to be entertained by you. You return into the dressing room, a quiet place. And in that moment, the anxiety starts to rise. You know you've got to win, but what you really need to do is execute your skills and talent under pressure. But that pressure is building. Can you feel it? Yet in a sudden moment, when in a little moment of calm, the final team gathers in a circle, no coaches, no leaders, just the players. And in that moment, you look at each other. You just look at each other. And in that moment, you know, we've got this. Can you imagine if you had that look and you felt, we've got this? Because that look is not just that happens in rugby grounds. I've seen that look in teachers, doctors, leaders, people who are ready to give a TED talk. I'm very pleased to say I saw it in the surgeon just before he operated on both my shoulders. And I looked at him and his team, and they had the look that said, we've got this. I was really pleased. And that team, the British Lions, gave me a unique opportunity. I was lucky to work with them, and they gave me this opportunity to research how do they create the look. Because this is some of the best players from the Northern Hemisphere. They're really good. But they come from 4 different nations that up until 2 to 3 weeks before these big games have been fighting with each other. And I don't mean fighting, I mean fighting. It's really, really difficult. So how do they pull those different people together in a very short period to perform under pressure and execute their skills? I don't think the research will surprise you to any great extent, because it's about people. It's not about skill, it's not about talent, and it's not about knowledge. It's about an environment that enables success. And that's the bit I want to talk to you about. How do you create that look? Not just for a rugby team, but for you and your teams and the people you work with. Can you imagine if we all went into the next meeting with that look? Big pressurized moment, talking to family, talking to friends, delivering a big deal. But as you walk in, you know, we've got this. And actually, it comes down to the ability to answer 4 questions really clearly. Question 1, who do you think you are? Question 2, who are you really? Question 3, where do you want to go? And the final one, so what's your plan? So I'd just like to investigate those 4 questions. Let's start with number 1. Who do you think you are? Now, we spend a lot of time on this with psychometrics and questionnaires and all that stuff, and it's very important, but it's skin deep. Because who we think we are and who we are really is different. Who we think we are is probably who we project we would like to be. This is who I'd like to be. And I always love psychometrics. They're very accurate, aren't they? You know, I ask you some questions, you tell me what you think of yourself, I put it into a machine, give it back, and you go, crikey, this is accurate. Well, of course it is. You told me. Because it's who we think we are. However, when we're under pressure, in that moment, things change, don't they? And who we really are, the way we were brought up, our values start to come out. I actually experienced this, not academically, personally, because I got involved in the most pressurised event known to the human race. It's called School Sports Day. Do you remember that? And I've got 3 young sons, they're all grown up now, but when they were little, they were really nervous. I could see they did not have the look, and they were very nervous. So I'd been on a parenting course, and I went to them, and I tried to project my thoughts to them. I said, boys, it's not about winning and losing. It's about trying your best. And if you win, show humility. And if you lose, keep going and try again. Good? I was impressed. I thought that was great. And they raced and they did well and they won a bit and they lost a bit. And I thought, what a good father I've been. This is who I want to be. Then a problem arose because the teacher blew their whistle and said, right, everyone, father's race. I knew this was not going to be good because suddenly it would be revealed who I really was. And we stood on the start line and the man next to me had changed his shoes into running spikes. They said, on your marks, and he got down to a full Olympic start position. I couldn't help myself without thinking, my leg went back, I crouched. As we hurtled down the 100-metre race, it was no longer a father's race, this was now the Olympic final. And what do you do at the end of Olympic final? You dip for the line. We both dipped for the line. His spikes caught in the grass, and he nosedived towards the ground. I dipped, I won the race, and I raised my hand and said, I'm a winner. And at that moment, I realised who I really was and who I aspired to be were different. And the reason I knew, because I saw a look on my son's face. Because they said, Dad, I thought you said it was about trying your best. It's not about winning and losing. And they gave me a look, I can't tell you what it is, but it wasn't of approval. And I don't think you can be who you really want to be until you face up to who you really are. Now, you didn't choose, though, to be that person, but it's who you are, and it will drive your performance and your decision-making, your behaviours under pressure. And if you can come to terms with it and at least accept it and go, OK, under pressure I can be a competitive dad who likes to win, but it's not who I really want to be. I want to be someone different. And only when you get that awareness, which you don't get from psychometric testing, can you really find who you are. The way you find it is by reflecting on your life and your experiences. Speak to people who really know you, particularly your children. If you're brave, ask your grandparents. They have seen how you were brought up and they will give you feedback. Listen to it. Understand who you really are. And if you could answer those 2 questions really clearly, do you think you might develop the look? Do you think you might start thinking, got this? What happens if you looked at question 3? So where do you want to go? Now in business, we do a lot of this. We do a lot of what I call below-the-line thinking, goals, objectives, planning. I'm old enough to remember Filofax. Filofax revolutionized our life, didn't it? It said, there's a new way, goals, objectives, KPIs, woohoo, we've got it. No, you haven't. Because what below-the-line thinking, goal setting, all that stuff does is misses out on one important thing, motivation. What would happen if you went above the line? What would happen if you started thinking about a world of possibility, where I could go? Not evaluating it, but being more childlike, because children don't evaluate. They say, go for it, why not? Let's have a go. And the noise that comes out of a room of people thinking about possibility is laughter, joy, fun, enjoyment. Consider your last strategic planning meeting. Was it full of laughter, enjoyment? And why would you go somewhere that doesn't excite you and invigorate you? And if you did know really where you wanted to go and you didn't evaluate it, would you start to have the look as well? Would you feel, we've got this? And the final question, so what's the plan? At this point, I'm not going to suggest a detailed plan over months and months and months. They're really good for holding open doors or putting on a shelf. But the reality is, if you're trying to deliver a plan under pressure, it needs to be simplified. It needs to be 2 or 3 strategic imperatives that you know, if you focused on, would move you forward. And what the research told us most importantly, it needs to be adaptable. and owned by the people closest to the problem. And if you knew what your plan was and you felt you owned it and you could adapt it, do you think you'd have the look as well? Would you feel, we've got this? So here's my message. Who do you think you are? Who are you really? Where do you want to go? What's your plan? And if you could clearly answer all these questions, I think you'd have the look as well. Thank you.